This is the Aqara U400 smart lock, and it's the first of its kind to use the Ultra-Wideband chip in your iPhone or Apple Watch to unlock when you're just near it. You don't even have to tap your watch or iPhone to the lock, just approach it and it will unlock super fast. Plus, it's incredibly reliable and responsive because this is Matter over Thread, and you can unlock it a ton of different ways, with a standard key, fingerprint, passcode, regular HomeKit lock if you do want to tap your devices, give temporary codes to guests. It's even rekeyable if you want it to match your current keys, and as it stands right now, it might be the best smart lock you can get. In the box, you get the lock, rechargeable battery, which recharges over USB-C, which is great. You don't have to use a bunch of AA batteries like other locks. Of course, the deadbolt, door jambs, and you get 2 physical keys in the box. But again, you can rekey the lock if you'd like. And when it comes to installation, it's super easy. Now, I've swapped out probably a dozen smart locks by now, but removing the old one and putting this one in, it now takes me about 15 to 20 minutes. I use my Hoto Screwdriver, which is a game changer. Link to that and the smart lock down in the description, by the way. And I was ready to set up super fast. Now, one quick note when it comes to smart locks. Make sure that your deadbolt and your door jamb actually line up. Several of the doors on my house, I kind of have to push the door in a little bit in order to lock it. And when you do that, sometimes it won't be able to lock automatically. It's not the lock's fault, it's just a misalignment of the deadbolt and the door jamb. But just keep that in mind as you're installing these smart locks. I still use them all the time and I can still unlock it from the outside, but when I want to lock, I do have to push my door a little bit. Now, setting up the U400, you can do it all completely in the Apple Home app. You don't need to download the Aqara app or have an Aqara Hub to use it. You click the set button to put it into pairing mode, you scan the Matter code, which this is Matter over Thread, and it'll pair to your Apple Home super fast. Then you can enable HomeKey, which is the tap to unlock, the Ultra-Wideband and Express mode. This way you can unlock as you approach, which we'll get into in a minute. And you can set PIN codes for multiple family members and even guests directly in the Home app. None of that requires the Aqara app. Now, the U400 does come with a fingerprint sensor, and if you want to use that, then you will need to also add it to the Aqara app and attach it to an Aqara Hub. Now, you can do that after you add it to the Apple Home app. That's what I did. I did Apple Home first, then I paired it with the Aqara app, and you can put it back into Matter pairing mode, which to do that, for a lot of Matter devices, you just go into the accessory settings here in the Apple Home app, you scroll all the way down, and then you'll see Turn on Pairing Mode. I tapped that, added it to the Aqara app, and then I was good to go. Now, there are some Aqara-specific features you might want to use, which will require you adding it to that app, and I'll go over those specifically in a moment. But first, what is it like to unlock this using Proximity Ultra-Wideband? So first, this is one of the few smart locks that actually have thread. The Thorbolt locks, which I've reviewed here on the channel, I'll link it above, and the Schlage encode also have thread, and I find those to be the most responsive, especially if you're unlocking it just with the app. And remember, that will work remotely. Even if you don't have the Aqara Hub or add it to the Aqara app, if you have a thread-enabled Apple TV or HomePod, you can unlock and lock that even when you're not home. And like the Thorbolt locks and the Schlage that I've tested with thread, the Aqara U400 is super fast to respond, both locking and unlocking. You can also use Apple HomeKit to unlock, meaning you tap your iPhone or you tap your Apple Watch and it unlocks very quickly. I found it to be just as fast as the Schlage encode in unlocking, and that means it matches the fastest response times that I've tested in a smart lock. You can also unlock with that fingerprint or a passcode, and you can lock it from the outside as well. By the way, if the battery ever dies on the smart lock and you don't have your physical key, you can charge it with a USB-C port on the bottom of the lock. Even just connecting your iPhone to the lock with a USB-C cable will give it enough charge to get you in. That might be a good reason to finally get that Nomad USB-C little keychain thing, so I'll put a link to that below as well. Now we'll get into all the details of that ultra-wideband unlocking and automating your smart lock. And while you automate your home, you should also automate your money, like I do with Monarch, today's sponsor. I've been using Monarch for the past several months, and one of my favorite features is this transaction widget. I can keep it on my home screen or here in the Today view. This gives me a quick look at the latest transactions across all my accounts, and I can then quickly jump in and see where all the money is coming and going across my credit cards, debit cards, and more. First, Monarch is private and ad-free. You're the customer, not the product, so there's no ads and no data selling. Plus, it connects with over 13,000 institutions. I was able to connect all my checking accounts, investments, credit cards, and now it's all in one place so I can monitor it effectively. Plus, you get one clean dashboard, which looks amazing in the app, and you can check it on your web. And you see your transactions, what's spending, keep track of your calls, and especially recurring charges, so you can keep track of all those little streaming services that maybe you should be canceling. And you can get a heads up on what bills might be coming, and also reports and charts that are really beautiful. I do think Monarch has incredible design as an app and on the web. There's flexible budgeting, so you can separate fixed and flexible spending, and it's couples ready, so you can collaborate with your partner or spouse. and you'll both be able to see an entire dashboard for your household and both keep track of things like an emergency fund, a vacation fund, college, and more. Like I said, I've been using Monarch for the past several months, and as an independent creator, it's helped me keep an eye on spending both for the business and personal, recurring charges, and a ton more in a beautiful way, and helps me keep track of goals going into 2026. So scan this QR code right here and you can try Monarch completely for free and then get 50% off your first year with Monarch. There'll be a link down in the video description. You can scan this QR code and use the promo code ROBLES50, that's ROBLES 50, to get that 50% off your first year. My thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. Now for the proximity unlocking. This means you can just approach the door lock, and when you get within a couple feet of it, it's just going to unlock by itself. You'll see the little green UWB for ultra-wideband light appear on the lock, and it just works, whether you just have an iPhone or you just have your Apple Watch. I left my iPhone somewhere far away, approached with just my Apple Watch, and it locks without ever having to tap the door. So if it's ever raining and you're trying to get in quickly, or your hands are full, your door will unlock all by itself, no more having to tap your device. This is a super cool feature, and it will even unlock faster when you're approaching the door faster. Now, I actually saw this demoed at CES, and I saw guys kind of running towards the lock, and you could see it unlock when you're farther away. I did a little test too. My patio is not super big, but if you approach faster, it will unlock sooner. So I guess if you're being chased, you'll be able to get in your house. Hopefully that's not you. Also, the lock is smart enough not to unlock if you're on the inside of the house. So if someone walks by the door, or if you walk by with your phone and or Apple Watch, it's not going to unlock because it knows you're on the inside of the house. You're not going to have those inadvertent unlockings, which is great. You can even customize if it will unlock depending on the angle you approach. So if you go into the lock settings, and this is even if you just add it to the Apple Home app, you'll see approach direction. This is just for those ultra-wideband locks, and you can turn off left or right. So it will only unlock when you approach straight forward, or you can choose to also unlock if you approach the lock from the right and from the left direction. Nice way to customize that. And once I set it up, I found it to be super reliable. Every time I approached, it would unlock automatically. I never had a false positive from the inside, and I was never stuck on the outside. Now, anyone else in your Apple Home can also use that proximity unlock, but here in the lock settings, you can also choose to manage access. So this is everyone in my Apple Home, but you can also invite guests. Now, these can use just a passcode, so you can create PIN code access that will actually sync to that lock. That's the patio door Aqara U400, or you can also invite a guest to your home, which then they can use things like Apple HomeKit and even that proximity unlock, but just on a schedule. So here I'll invite someone via their iCloud account, and here you can even choose the schedule. So you can do any time, just specific date, or you can do things like every Monday between certain times. I'll choose any time for now. You can choose what lock they have access to, so I can choose just my patio bedroom door, and then I can tap invite. Now they can unlock the door on that set schedule, or again, you can invite another resident to your home. That's what I did with my wife and all my kids, so they can unlock with their devices. So when it comes to a smart lock with all the bells and whistles, plus that new ultra-wideband unlock, which is unique to this lock right now, the U400 is great. But what are the features that you need the Aqara app for? Well, like I mentioned before, fingerprint unlock has to be done in the Aqara app. So once you add the door lock, then you can add users here under user management, and you can create additional fingerprints to unlock and create scheduled users here. You can also create one-time PIN codes, and of course you can just unlock and lock the door from here. You also get battery levels here, but you also get that in the Home app. Now when it comes to different settings, one of the things I found was the voice was pretty loud, so I went ahead and muted the alerts, turned off all these notifications, and put the volume as low. Once I did all that, the lock stopped talking to me, which was good, but when I first set it up, it was saying a lot of stuff. So unfortunately, that is another reason you have to go into the Aqara app directly, is to adjust those sounds and voices. Now there is an auto lock feature here in the Aqara app, both on close, and there's also a night latch mode, which means at night, it can only be unlocked from the inside and from admin users. Also, if you have a double door entry, like a screen or patio door, and then the actual home door with the lock on it, under the ultra wideband settings here, there is a dual door mode, so you might need to enable that as well. Now I did add it to an Aqara Hub, the M3, but again, you only have to do that if you really want the fingerprint management. That auto lock is a setting actually in the Home app. So if you want it to auto lock after a certain amount of time, just go back to that device settings here in the Apple Home app, and here you'll see automatic lock, and you can choose after 30 seconds of being unlocked or any of these time periods. You do get an additional setting in the Aqara app, this safety relock. So if it's unlocked via an app, automation, or third-party unlocking, you can have it relock again just to be safe. But I find the auto lock after a certain amount of minutes is plenty good. Now, because the U400 is Matter over Thread, this is going to work with multiple ecosystems. And that ultra-wideband unlock has a technology called Aliro. That's going to allow you to have multiple ecosystems control and unlock this lock in one household. So if someone in your house uses Google Home and you use Apple Home, you should both be able to use this lock once everything is updated to support that Aliro standard. You can also program and unlock it using things like NFC cards. And again, you can see all the smart home ecosystems it connects with here on their website. Now, another reason you connect this to the Aqara app is the integration with the Aqara Thermostat and Video Doorbell. Again, I saw this demoed at CES, and this is one of the things that Aqara can do across its integration that Apple Home doesn't even have. Namely, if you have the Aqara Thermostat and their Video Doorbell, if someone rings your doorbell, you'll see that camera feed here on the thermostat on your wall, and then there'll be one button that you can tap to unlock your Aqara U400. That's a really cool integration, especially if you have your thermostat in a convenient location where it's easy to see the video feed and then tap that unlock button, but that is just an Aqara ecosystem feature. I'm going to set this up pretty soon because I got the thermostat and I still have their Video Doorbell, so get subscribed because I'm going to do some follow-ups on that. But is the Aqara U400 the smart lock you should get? Like I said, when it comes to features, the U400 has everything, and it's the first one for that ultra-wideband unlock. It's $270, which is not as expensive as things like the Schlage encode and the level lock, which I've reviewed all here on the channel. I'll link some of those videos above, but it's also not the most inexpensive. If you want everything, including that ultra wideband, absolutely, it's the way to go. If you want a less expensive smart lock that still works with Apple HomeKey, meaning you can tap your phone or watch to the lock to unlock it, but doesn't have that ultra wideband proximity, the Aqara U50 is a great option. It's $125, also has Matter support, so it works across different ecosystems, but it doesn't have Thread, so it's not going to be as fast to respond. If you're in the Apple Home ecosystem exclusively like me, I would also look at the Thorbolt X1. This has Thread, so it's fast to respond, really reliable, but it doesn't have Matter, so it's not going to work with Amazon or Google Home. This just works with Apple. Still has the fingerprint, still has the home key where you tap your devices to it to unlock, and it has the passcode option. And this one's $110 on a little sale. So I did a whole video on this one. I'll link it above. I think the X1 is still a good option. Or if you want an even cheaper option, Thorbolt has an X3 smart lock. I haven't got a chance to actually test it, but it's very similar to the X1, meaning it has Thread. It's only for Apple HomeKit. Doesn't have the PIN code, but still has fingerprint, home key unlock, and it's only $100 right now. So the most inexpensive smart lock that still works great in the Apple Home with Apple HomeKey, I think the X3 is probably your best option at $100. But that ultra wideband is pretty cool, and the Aqara comes in two colors, black and the silver. I have the silver version, that's what you've been seeing in this whole video. And if you're already in the Aqara system, it is a great option. Their Video Doorbell is one of the only two models that uses HomeKit secure video. You have this and the Logitech Circle View, which hasn't been updated in years. This one also has 2K video support in the Aqara app. So Video Doorbell wise, if you're looking at that, I would definitely consider the Aqara one, $130. HomeKit Secure Video means you get all those recordings in the Home app and you don't have to pay another subscription to something like Arlo or Ecobee. You can get the Aqara M3 hub to tie it all together. And the Aqara W200 thermostat should be coming out soon as well. So I've been really liking Aqara stuff. I use a lot of their Matter and Thread context sensors. I love their cameras like the G2H Pro, and they're really positioning themselves as an entire ecosystem of smart home products. But thankfully, it still all just works in Apple Home. And if you never want to download the Aqara app, you don't have to. But that's the U400 lock. Super cool to now have an ultra wideband lock that does it super fast. And some of you might be thinking, if you had a level lock or have seen this feature there, they do have a proximity unlock, but it uses Bluetooth, and I find it to be less reliable, definitely slower to respond to unlocking when it comes to proximity. So if you really want that proximity unlock, the U400 is the way to go. Affiliate links to this lock and everything I talked about are down in the video description, plus my other review videos on smart locks will be down there as well. And get subscribed, hit that like button, do lots of smart home content here, plus automations and things like shortcuts. And if you want to learn more about automations, not just smart home, but maybe shortcuts as well, check out my top shortcuts of 2025 video right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.